Fear is something everybody deals with. Some people get over it and some people don't. Some people let it drive their lives, and other people drive themselves through that fear and come out the other side in much better shape. And that's what I want to talk about today, how fear factors in to preparedness and the lives of people who are into preparedness. In many cases, it's the driving force behind it. By the way, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith for the new people, and welcome to all the new people. We have a whole lot of new people joining. It usually happens this time of year. So good to have you, and a special welcome to everybody who has joined us, the new folks over on the Patreon channel. It's great to have you over there. You're going to get a lot out of it, not just the extra videos that I put up, but the contributions from our many very smart contributors and other patrons over there. I just put something up over on the Patreon channel about overcoming fear, how I have overcome some of my fears. One major one in particular, and I wrote kind of a lengthy article on fear for Grandmaster magazine back in 1999 or 2000 or something like that. And you know, fear is not abnormal. As a matter of fact, fear is normal. Most people are afraid of something. Everybody's afraid of different things. Some people are afraid of heights. Some people are afraid of, whatever it is. And to be fearful of something is not abnormal, nor does it make a person, weak. It's normal. It's those people who don't have fears of some kind that are the abnormal ones. And, the lack of fear is not courage. The lack of fear is simply not having the same understanding, in many cases, of threats that other people do. And I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse not to be afraid of anything. I've known some people like that. You probably have too. But courage, as I explained to my kids, as I help them navigate those fears and overcome them and come out the other side, courage is not the lack of fear, it's the overcoming of it. It's being afraid of something and doing it anyway, going through it, and then coming out and beating it and coming out the other side. And usually as a result of that, you will have gotten rid of that fear. Well, what I want to talk, like I say, I get into more of the overcoming of it on the Patreon level. If you want to join us, if you're not with us on Patreon, you ought to be. And the link is down below. Love to have you. And by the way, for those of you following the Audible book of the Revival, do I have it here? I just got a bunch of... Anyway, going through my second book, The Revival. If I have it here, I should hold it up for you. Hang on just a second. There we go. It's my second book, The Revival. We're now in the process of going through the Audible of that. I'm reading it, and that's available on the Stonemount level, which is a second level over on the Patreon channel. We were already done with the reversion, which is my first book. These are all part of the Stonemount series. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But somebody, by the way, somebody asked, I have to answer a question here before I get into the fear and preparedness. Somebody did ask, was it in I think it might have been on a comment on the YouTube channel. It says, I've gone, I can't find your Audible books. I've gone to audible.com, whatever it is, I don't know. And I've gone to Amazon. They have your books in paperback or Kindle, but I don't see Audible. That's right, because I did it differently. I'm doing the reading myself, and I'm making it available as an Audible on the Patreon channel. That's kind of new. I don't know that anybody's ever done that. Well, probably somebody has. I just don't know about it. Okay, but anyway, that's the way you do it. So if you want to find the Audible, come to the Patreon channel, sign up for the Stonemount level, and you will get the Audibles. So anyway, I'll talk more about the Stonemount series here in a few minutes. But let's get to the fear and preparedness. many people get into preparedness out of fear. And people will have a different idea of what fear is. I've told the story before about, now I've been in preparedness, gosh, since I was, a Boy Scout, right? So that's close to 60 years ago. And I've had a preparedness mindset all of my life. I was taught a lot of the stuff by my father and my grandfathers, in addition to all the scouting and everything like that. And so preparedness has been just a natural part of my life, pretty much all of my life. But I'll tell you what really got me to crank it up quite a few notches is when I started learning about the probabilities of EMP and CME and the devastating effects of those. And that's what my series of books, the Stonemont series, is about. And when I realized that, as I studied it, as I read the EMP report and then other things, and I realized that this wasn't just a possibility, but a probability, a certainty, actually. As scientists tell us that it is a certainty that we are going to experience a Carrington-class CME or larger, in perhaps the not-too-distant future. I thought about that, and even though I thought I had been prepared for pretty much every eventuality, I realized that I wasn't prepared for that. And I visualized in my mind my children, because I had I still have kind of young children, but they were very young children at the time. I visualized them with nothing to eat, looking to me and saying, "Daddy, I'm hungry," and me not having enough for them and them starving to death. And I made myself visualize and made it as real as your imagination can. And that kick-started me into really the kind of preparedness that I am now, that I teach, and that I wrote the books about. And I guess I should show you these now. And that is the whole story when I started was, and I wrote the books of the Stonemont series. 6 books so far. I'm working on the 7th, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. The complete plan for preparing for surviving and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. That's how I say it. Yes, they are available, Amazon, but a better way to get them is through me directly, and that is our website, stonemont.us. The links are down below. So I wrote those books as I started to understand the real threat of EMP, CME, and such, and as a way to teach people in a story, in a novel, a series of novels. Now, some people will say, well, you were driven by fear, and I won't argue that point. I was driven by concern. Okay, I was driven by concern. Now, every morning when I get up and I scan, you know how it is. You get on YouTube and all these things will pop up in your feed. And one after another preparedness channel, it is all about what to be afraid of today. Oh my gosh, it's never been this bad. It has, this is happening. World War III is coming tomorrow. The collapse of the banking system is coming this afternoon. Whatever it is, just pick your poison. And it is just like that. It is an all-consuming fear. And this is unhealthy. This is unhealthy. Fear should not drive your preparedness. A rational understanding of the threats of the world should. Okay, because as I said in the one that I put up over on Patreon, one of the things that I said is that fear is a waste of time. You either understand threats or you don't, and if you do, that should be the first step of your preparing to deal with them. Okay, but then you're either going to do what you need to do or you're not. And fear is going to get in the way of you doing it the best you can. Okay, fear will cause you first. It wastes your time. It will waste your money because you'll be spending on things instead of sitting down and rationally approaching the situation and deciding how best to approach it, overcome it. You're gonna be buying. You're gonna be worrying. You're going to be wasting time and money. And many people have done this, and maybe some of you have. Share your story if you'd like, if you think it would help other people, because many people are driven into the preparedness lifestyle by fear. They will maintain, well, fear is a good motivator. No, fear is not a motivator. Fear is the thing that keeps you from doing whatever you need to do the best you can do it. Okay. Proper recognition of a threat or a problem or whatever, that's and the desire and the determination to overcome it, that's a motivator. Okay. Fear is a negative. Now, yeah, it's right. I mean, there are some things to be afraid of, right? But it's not positive. It is your process, the process through which you go to overcome that. That's the positive. So don't confuse the two. And some people will say, that's not right. Well, I'm almost 70, I've said in the last week. I've paid attention for a long time. That's the conclusion that I've come to. So take it or leave it. Anyway, fear and preparedness should not occupy the same space. Okay, you have to get rid of the fear. You have to overcome the fear. And I talk about, like I said, how I've done it. And then you see clearly. Then when you overcome, you go through the process of overcoming the fear, then you see the world differently. You see it from a different perspective. Now you're able to take steps that are going to be more productive, more directed, and as a result, more successful in everything that you do related to preparedness. That's what's important. So don't be afraid of all this stuff that everybody wants to scare you with. Okay? There are some who thrive on that. There are some, to be honest, are just addicted to the stress. And I talk about this too. Don't be stressed. So many people are so stressed. I put up a couple of things, again, on Patreon. Yes, that's where you get extra stuff. For the person who says, you just talk about Patreon, that's because I want to share as much with people, and some of that is simply not appropriate for YouTube. Okay, but so many people are addicted to the stress. They're addicted to being afraid or worried about something. You see, there is no solution in that. They have fulfilled their need. They are like junkies. They need the drug of fear. They need the drug of stress. I hope that's not you. If you see yourself in that description, one of the most important things you can do is get out of that. Change your life. Change your perspective. Move it over to where you are looking at things. You don't need that negativity. You don't need that stress. What you need is to progress through life and progress in your preparedness life. Okay, so that it will remove the stress, it will remove the fear, and then everything you do will be a positive step towards a more positive life. Does that make sense? Okay. We talk about, every time I sign off, my sign-off line is, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And that's very important. So many people, again, who get into preparedness, think that preparedness is going to be about just barely surviving whatever may happen. And that again is a failure view of life, a failure view of what's coming, and a failure view of what they are capable of. Okay? The successful person, whatever it is, doesn't look at life like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen and how am I going to survive it? The successful person looks rationally at what the world is, what can happen, and says, how can I build my life better through this and after this? So anyway, that's what I want. That's what I want to share with you today. Fear has no place in your life or in your preparedness activities or journey. It has no place. It's a waste. It will get in your way. It will cause you to make bad decisions that will actually hold you back. So get rid of the fear. Don't react to all of these things that you hear. It's never been this bad. Oh my gosh, it's World War III and this and that. And I mean, gosh, I can't imagine what it would be like to live like that. I certainly don't want to, and I hope you don't want to either. So get that out. Get the fear out of your life. Replace it with active decision and rational decision making and planning. That is preparedness. Okay? Join us over on the Patreon channel for more. You'll love it. You'll like it. Only cost you $1 on the basic level, and like I say, if you want to hear the audibles, that's on the Stonemont level. That's the second. That's only $5 a month, and you get a whole lot. You get to hear me read my books. And if you want the complete plan again on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after the complete collapse of everything, the Stonemont series, available through our website, stonemont.us, the reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. Yes, I am working on number 7. Haven't decided a title. People are saying, I'm reading the whole series for the 5th time through, waiting for that number 7 to come out. Well, I'm sorry, I'm in my busy season right now. And so it's kind of put on the back burner, but here in a few weeks I'm going to get right back at it, and we'll get it out, maybe sometime right after the first of the year. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm not making any promises. I'll get it done as soon as I can, because I love the writing of it too. It's a world, the Stonemont world is a world that many people say they prefer to the world they live in today. That's exactly how I write it. That's why I write it, in addition to teaching. And I like it too. I love the world that I'm in when I'm writing that. So that's that. You guys, don't be afraid. Be positive. Be proactive. Take charge of your life. When you're afraid of something, you have given the thing that's causing you fear control over your life. Don't do it. You take control of your life. Get out there and do something. Prepare properly and rationally, and you will go a lot farther than you ever would have out of fear. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll probably talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.